Happy Monday and welcome to Casting the Net, Reeling in Holistic Health, where we care about your mental health and well being. I'm your host, Coach Rice, and I want to make sure that you tune in every Monday at 8 a.m. Central Standard Time, where I have my special guest on to talk about real issues that matter most. I want you to check us out on YouTube, Facebook Live, on Business Facebook page, also on the Be Awesome Network. Stay tuned. I think you're going to really like this next guest. Happy Monday and welcome to Casting the Net, where we care about your mental health and well-being. I am your host, Coach Rice, and with me today, I have Ryan Reichert. He is a professional speaker, mindset trainer, executive coach, best-selling author, and podcaster based in Minneapolis, Minnesota. He empowers overwhelmed professionals to break free from limited beliefs, discover their God given purpose, and pursue meaningful transformation. Oh my God, I love that. And so, Ryan, tell us, with the audience listening, in this conversation that we have, what message would you like for them to get out of it?
Yeah, thanks, Coach Rice. I think the biggest thing, one, mental health is extremely important, but kindness is, use a word that I guess importanter, is more important than anything else. And that to me, we can all have a part in it. And it's as simple as, just by us laughing together there, showing our teeth, smiling and connecting through some gentle eye contact. And really, the rest of it is a simple process of saying please and thank you, saying excuse me, I'm sorry, and then just being able to do that over and over again every single day of your life. So that creates the ripple effect that we're looking for to just make life a little kinder. And in that, our mental health is that much better when we're able to smile at each other and actually ask for things and then be grateful in that exchange with one another.
Oh, wow, I like that. So tell us, how did you embark upon this journey in your life?
Oh, it was a long, long road. It was 45 years of walking in the wrong direction. And a lot of people, I think, that don't know me today or knew me before and then know me today would say, well, you're a hypocrite and so forth. And I think it's how we actually are able to grow in life. A lot of people say, I have all these life goals. And unfortunately, with a goal, there's a finish line or an end state. And with growth, it's never ending. And I think in what I say my previous life, I was so goal focused that I never grew beyond achieving the goal. And there wasn't this, I guess, when I think of perception and perspective, perception is how I see the world. Perspective is my ability to see it a different way, see it through your eyes, see it in someone else's eyes, and take a step to the right or to the left and go, oh, I can see where you're coming from. And I believe before I couldn't really do that. I think I was very set in my ways. I was very focused on a certain dollar amount in the bank account, a certain title that said underneath your name, maybe a certification or a degree, whatever it looked like. There was something that, well, kind of as you kind of went through my bio, maybe in the beginning, all that stuff to me, unfortunately, as humans, we, I say, need to have that because it qualifies us, it quantifies us in such a way that can we listen to Coach Rice or Ryan on this podcast because they don't have all these fancy letters after their name? They're not just two humans having a meaningful conversation. And don't get me wrong, for my mental health, I still have a therapist, and I just saw them actually this morning. I believe we do need to have those certified and practicing in certain ways to go have a meaningful conversation with them. But it's so much more going back to the more important thing is to have meaningful conversations every single day with people. And so my once a month with my, therapist isn't enough to fill in the 30, days of a month, right? And so what I love so much is us to have an interaction here and others to listen on their way to work, their way home from work, and really glean that it is just that. It's not gossip around, the coffee shop and so forth. It's really getting to a depth in your day-to-day conversations that go beyond just I'm from Minnesota, so who did the Vikings draft or going to draft, like, how did the Twins do this weekend, so beyond sports, beyond the weather, which the sun is actually shining, and I don't know if it's above freezing, but those are insignificant things that unfortunately, if you're having those kind of conversations, that's not a meaningful conversation. And so it takes you being able to listen to someone and then ask really good questions. And so that's the cool thing about it is you get to ask me those questions and I get to be put on the spot today. And I would rather be the one listening and then going like, oh, I want to ask this question, but that's not who I get to be today.
And you know what? I love how you mention about, the letters behind the name. I always tell people we get our certifications for them. We already called to do this. That's who God gave us the gift to serve it at that capacity. But the certifications are for the people who want to hire us. It's not really for us. We
Mhm.
gain tools, but the ultimate tool is following the Holy Spirit as He leads you, lead and guide you. And so I love the work that you do. You speak about breaking free from limited beliefs. What's one lie you personally believe as you was going through this journey that almost kept you stuck, and how did you overcome it?
So I'm an extreme loyalist, unfortunately, and so sometimes I like to say I'm a recovering loyalist because in it was after I retired from the military. I had a great Fortune 500 job. I was in risk management, and I had told myself more than happy to ride this out 59 and a half. I can retire and life's good. I'll go to Hawaii, for a few months in the winter, go fishing in the summer, go golfing in between. And you want to talk about, I just spent 23 years in the army. Like that was the pinnacle then, after all of it. And so unfortunately there was a lot of circumstances that led to life changing. And I would have not, if I wouldn't have been laid off, and I don't know if that was 2024 now, a couple years back, I'd still be in that same role or in that same company, just doing what I was doing, unhappy, unfulfilled, not fulfilling my purpose, just like you talked about with the Holy Spirit truly, coming inside of you and allowing you to, become who we're supposed to become. And starting the different companies and, becoming a speaker, becoming a coach, having the podcast, writing the books, all the different things, none of that would have happened. And there was so much pain that, unfortunately went through. For those who don't know, I'm a recovering, alcoholic and addict. I once did have a amazing family, or, marriage and family. Today that doesn't exist. My children are back in my life, which is wonderful. What a blessing to truly now be present as a father and wanting to get to know your children and not be so self-absorbed in what I was going through in my addiction, my active addiction. And I think that's this reflection you have. So yeah, in July of 2024, I was laid off, and it was so cool because about 4 months later, started forming what our Protector Development has become today. The company that has a book series, is a publishing company, is media with the podcast, all these things that only happen by having the belief of I need a job that pays me every Friday and yada 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 with this title. And don't get me wrong, just like for you, like entrepreneurship, I don't know for you, but it's scary. I mean, I
Yes,
think
it
it's
is.
like, I mean, I've spent 4 years in the Middle East, and shot at and blown up a lot, and entrepreneurship's way scarier. So those out there that are, doing it, like I completely applaud you for going before any of us and paving the way. My father and grandfather were entrepreneurs, and that's why it kept me from it for so long, and why I joined the military is I didn't like to see that turbulence that they went through and appeasement and so forth at the time. I wasn't ready for it. I wasn't strong enough to take that on and realize though that was, well, the training to this point were all the gifts that were put inside of me to help others. Just like you said, those letters after our name is for others. It is to prepare us to do what we are meant to do. I call it the war of purpose built to break. And it's for those out there listening, watching, where you end up going through the hardest things you'll ever go through in your life. And it's not going to break you. It's to bring that purpose, that sole reason why you're put on this earth, to help others, to be a giver, to be the ladder builder versus the ladder climber. When we were an individual
Mm.
and we just cared so much about, all I wanted to be was a full bird colonel, like, brigade commander in the United States Army. I never made that. I was retired as lieutenant colonel. I didn't even have a battalion command. And so I thought I failed. After 23 years, I was a failure. And not to look back on that today, I know that no, like, because if I would have kept doing that, I'd still be in the army. Like, none of this would have ever happened in such a way. So, like, your war of purpose, like what you're truly fighting for, just realize when that doesn't happen, that's finally when that refinement can begin, and you'll actually be put in your true purpose in life. So, whatever it looks like, just know that it could possibly be that, but if it doesn't happen, something so much better is going to happen.
Wow. It sound like you went through multiple seasons from military leadership to corporate strategies and, faith-driven coaching. You did a lot. And thank you for your service, by the way, because that's what you've been through is not easy. And so let's talk about your acronym. You got an acronym called FOCUS. It's interesting because I have the same acronym. I wonder in that I'm writing in a book. I wonder if it's the same. It'll be interesting that it's like God gave it to me, so it'd be funny that it's the same. But what is that acronym? What does each letter represent, and how did God give you that framework?
Yeah, it's so interesting because not knowing this until right now that you and I are both writing another book on the same acronym, and what the Holy Spirit's going to put in my mouth right now versus how you respond, I guess, is interesting because, yeah, so today focus for me stands for faith, opportunity, consistency, unconditional kindness, and standard, or the standard. But I don't look at focus that way. So I look at it as it starts with the S and works its way to the F, because for me, I did not have the faith that I have today without starting in the standard. And my standard started almost 2.5 years ago now with, I call it your 3 daily wins, and it's a physical, a mental, and a spiritual win. Those three things to me did not exist because I was taking lot, like how you said just a minute ago. I was taking loss after loss after loss. 25-year relationship, burnt to the ground. Two at the time, teenage girls that were tired of dad's BS and all the dreams and hopes that they had believed life would be like, ended. And then, yeah, losing the job and so forth. So I was like, what do I do? What do I do? And it looked like, can't see her. She's like racked out behind me. Now she's a 4-year-old golden doodle, but at the time, a little over a year old. May was my youngest daughter's dog. And unfortunately, in any breakup, if there's two dogs, one dog goes one place and the other dog goes the other. But May was what kept me going. She was my physical win every day. In the morning, hey, get up, get out of bed, like stop being depressed. I have to go outside. And so that was our physical win, was just one lap around the apartment building. And then I started reading my Bible, and from there I learned how to meditate and how to just sit in silence. And so that was my standard, which still is my standard today. And then it works your way backwards through, unconditional kindness, which we kind of touched on in the beginning, which is smiling, please, thank you, excuse me, I'm sorry, and then repeating. And then the consistency, it has to happen every day. I read an article Michael Phelps was in Sports Illustrated years ago now, but what he'd say is if he took a day off, it took him 2 days to get back to where he was before the day off. So in our consistency, if I don't have a physical win today, Like my day is it's not going to happen the way it's supposed to happen. Because then I probably won't read my Bible and I probably won't meditate. And then what does the rest of the day look like? I'm not able to show up here for Coach Rice in such a way. It goes downhill really, really fast. And so we have to be consistent. And so if we say we're going to do something, we have to do it. And that's hard. I've really, the military is really easy. Today, it's harder today than it was before. Like, because I'm my own boss, I can change the schedule any time of day I want to. I can tell somebody something and go, well, if we do it tomorrow, it's no big deal, even though we said we were going to do it today. Tomorrow. So that consistency, because this is what happens. The opportunity is where the largest thing comes to play now, because we're getting closer to that faith. And it's the opportunity for us to give to others, going back to that ladder building versus ladder climbing. The opportunity of, holy cows, like I cannot wait selfishly to talk to Coach Rice to hear more about her focus after this, right? Because where can I help her in any of my, focus education that I've been on the last number of months as I'm trying to put the next book together? And like, how can we collaborate? How can we make each other better? But more so, how can I make her better? And those are the opportunities that I'm looking for every single day. When I have a calendar and go like, oh, I've never met this person before. Like, am I going to spend any time actually like getting to know them before that? Or like, what are we going to talk about? Because it's not going to be about news, weather, and sports. I don't care about that. I care about who they are, like what makes them tick, like how can I actually be of service and help. And the coolest thing about all that is that's when faith actually shows up. Like that's how faith builds into this crescendo of seeing God in every single thing that happens. Like I laugh all the time because as an entrepreneur, we don't know like when the next paycheck comes in, right? We believe like, hey, we got this gig coming up, like we're supposed to get paid 50%, on this date. And they're like, well, actually, we have to cancel the gig now. And you're like, okay, we got the first 50%, we're good there or whatever. But what happens, like, I was, the lights aren't going to stay on today if we don't
Right.
get X. And then all of a sudden, just the other day that happened to me. Some money, $200. Like I had no idea where it came from, how it came. Like it just magically appeared. And it was what it took to, keep the lights on and make sure, people are getting paid and stuff like that. And that's how that faith is complete, that focus comes into play. I call it the 5 principles to your success in life, but it's one of those things that before the F was always like finance, family, friends, fitness, or health. But health doesn't start with an F, so you got to go with fitness.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, to me, how I got to faith really in it was I lost all those things. I lost my family, I lost my finances, I lost all my friends, and my health wasn't very good. And so the only person left was the big man, and so that's how I learned that um, it doesn't hurt that bad to get on your knees every day, a couple times a day, and be grateful. I'm grateful for
Amen.
everything that's happened to me. The I'm more grateful for the bad than the good because when things get good, like I have a short memory on, like, who to be grateful to or all the grateful things that I have today. And yeah, so that's what focus looks like for me.
I love it. I love it. And there's some similarities, but not quite all. But that's awesome. And so now that we delved into, your expertise, now we're gonna move to a few questions. So you're a recovering advocate. How did your journey through alcoholism uh shape the way you coach others toward accountability and freedom? I find it personally a little complicated for me to do it, but how do you do it?
Yeah, it is really hard. There's two sides to this one. I call it the ick and the ish. And what I mean by that is there's an ick in all of us, unfortunately. And the ish is the selfish side of what it can become, right? I believe as humans, all inherently lazy, unfortunately. And what that means is everyone needs a coach, right? I think about when I grew up for football, we had two coaches. You had a head coach and an assistant coach. That's it. And so obviously, if the head coach was more offensive, oriented, he did offense, assistant, defense, right? Yada yada yada. Forget about special teams and all the other stuff that's going on. And today, there's a coach for every single position on each side of the ball, like special teams. I mean, just go all the way around. And so when I think about that, at a minimum in life, some people like struggle with like, I don't want to pay somebody like to coach me to tell me what to do and be like, okay, uh, I know how it worked for me before having coaches, and I have multiple coaches today um, because I have multiple things that I do. You realize in it, it's like, what is your ick? Like, for me, like it was alcohol, prescription drugs. Okay, fine. You remove those. Like, I still was into nicotine. I had tobacco, like chewing, and then caffeine. So I started removing all these over time and space. I'm down to the last one, like sugar. Like it's one that I just got back from a cruise with the girls for spring break, and I was like, certain joints in my body hurt because yeah, I started like hard on the sugar again. They have dessert for like every meal, so it was
Right.
one where my discipline kind of went, off the rails. And this happens for everybody out there. You can sit here and tell me like, oh no, I don't have any ick and any ish, and be like, don't worry, we'll find it, kind of thing. And it's not in a bad way. I don't mean that in a negative, hurtful way. I mean it in a way then if you can exploit that, like I know why my back hurt like when I was on the cruise because like sugar is the most inflammatory drug under the sun. And
Yes.
and so I'm like, I know why my back hurts. It's not like because the bed was bad or, this, that, the other thing. It's like because I was eating like four times the amount of sugar I probably do in a day over a 4 day period. And here we are. And when you can see those things, it's unbelievable how rapid you can like either rebound something or like build upon something. And that's what I learned through my recovery was the compounding effects in life, like faith over fear, right? You can't see either of them, but for me, anyways, like why do I go to fear more than my faith? My faith has never been bigger, stronger, but I still first step on the blocks. If I'm not hitting those 3 daily wins, fear is just like right there in my face. And so knowing that there are these processes in place for a reason, they're kind of like when you think of being a pilot and and people have seen the cockpit, right? There's like 5,000
Yes.
switches in that thing, but what do they have? Checklist, right? They sit there and
Right.
they check one through like 5,000, and if they miss one, what happens? So as a coach today, my recovery by having a sponsor in the program showed me what it looks like to be that coach, to be that co-pilot in there going through the checklist. And I do it the same way with, either my own tools that I've built or utilizing others, like John C. Maxwell, obviously for me, he's amazing for me.
Yes, he is.
And so it's one of those where, he has his tools to equip you with. There's other coaches that allow you, so like I didn't come up with the standard. That's Ben Newman, who was my coach and still is my coach when it comes to mindset and establishing, what is your standard? Like what, we did in the military was do you train to time or you train to standard? Like the goal, the standard's 100 push-ups. Like you don't work out for like 2 hours. Like it's like okay, like the standard's just 100 push-ups. Okay, how long does it take you to do 100 push-ups? Back a few years back, it probably only took me 100 push-ups, probably 3 minutes. And so it's one of those things where today we might be there a little while. So it's but it's never the time. It's the standard, and that can look a lot different if there is time involved for people, what I always say then is like, okay, what are you doing in between? What are you doing for additional training? You gave yourself an hour. the standard that you established or said took you 30 minutes. Now what are you doing with that 30 minutes? Kind of thing. And a lot of people are like, I don't know. Well, if you're going to be like wanting to continue to grow, not a goal, right? We talked about growth.
Right.
So have additional training for yourself. And for me, it just looks like, like reading a book, like there's more, it's like I got the next one or the next one or the next one that you're gonna like grab and go from. So those are ways for me in my recovery that showed me that there's a process to it, there's a method to the madness, and there's probably either a step or a principle or a list of some type that you go through to get you from A to Z. But I believe today, like it never ends. It's if it's A to Z, then it's double A to double Z, like, and you have to keep going because otherwise you get seduced by your success. Like
Mm,
writing books, right? Oh yeah, I wrote my book. Like, is it like, okay, like you gonna write another one? Like,
right.
no, never, and it's like, well, why not? Like the Holy Spirit's probably telling you. I mean, I'm always like, I, when I start writing one, I write. There's a second one like going at the same time because you get like not bored, but there's
All
different.
these inspiring ideas come up.
Right. Yeah. So it's just fun today that when my focus, I'm further removed from things, and it's more about like us right now. I mean, we've been laughing for 20, 30 minutes and
Right.
enjoying each other's company. And that's what meaningful conversations mean so much more to me. Put the smile on my face, put the smile on someone else's face, and then learn. And then we're helping others too. So that's what's so great about it.
That's the beauty of it. We get to do that.
Yes.
How does you mentioned kindness, and I love how you mention it because a lot of times we don't hear it a lot. Sometimes, how does kindness play a role in transformation, especially when people are so hard on themselves?
Yeah. I mean, I think of a couple other words that come to mind when I hear someone like you just elaborate on kindness. I think of
Right.
grace and mercy is the two things that I think of what that come from it because only someone who has been given well, how do I put this in the right way? That has been given mercy or received mercy has the understanding of grace. And it's not really in this human form. And it sounds wild, I guess, like sometimes when that comes out and when I do talk about this, because only through that process have I become kindness. Like I am kindness today. And it's hard. It's so hard. Uh, in the last book I just published, Let's Get Spiritual, the 6 step method to transform your life. I go into that, right? It's part of my daily practices of having to pray for 3 people you do not adore and having to forgive them for some pain and suffering, right? But only through, God's mercy and his grace does it allow you to get to that point to be kind enough to forgive. And so that's why it's a real, how do I put this, intentional habit that needs to be constructed to be kind. Because a lot of people will be like, well, be nice. And this is nice and kindness are not even in the same
Think two different things.
hemisphere here, universe. I don't know what. Um, because I can be nice to you and say all kinds of things that like whatever, right? And kindness is genuine. Kindness is knowing that you're doing. It's kind of this whole thing. Like I don't believe if you say please, like even though you should say thank you, like please is more important than thank you. So you get a lot of people that are like, well, I said thank you. I said, yeah, but I wouldn't have given it to you because you didn't say please. And so it's the whole thing of really asking for something from someone is when you say, please, may I, because when you go look at the opposite side of like, can I, the old like, may I versus can I kind of thing, the whole can you is the can is like nice. Like, like I can be nice to you. That's easy. Everybody can be nice to somebody, but can you be kind to somebody? when someone hurts you, can
That's
you
a different
still
story.
be forgiving? Can you still be
Yes.
kind? And that's something that, it takes time, it takes grace, it takes healing, and it takes brutal honesty for you to look in the mirror and really,
Hmm.
who are you? And are you okay with how you are to others? So are you kind? Not are you nice? I mean, I,
Right.
I did nice. I did nice for 45 years, and I was not kind, because I wanted something out of it. I wanted to manipulate the situation. I wanted to climb that ladder, like we talked about. I didn't want to build a ladder. Like, it's just like, how can Coach Rice like help me out, like kind of thing.
Right.
And it's like, it's not about that when you finally realize how to be kind, and it's just a
It is
different.
more freeing being kind
Yes.
than nice. I must admit that. Mentioned something about six-step method, where do most people, what is that? And where do most people get stuck?
Yeah. So I mean, we've been talking about it. It's really funny the whole time, about the smiling, the please, thank you, excuse me, I'm sorry, repeat. It's twofold. It's the excuse me, I'm sorry, and then at the very end, repeating, knowing that they have to do it over and over and over again. And I was not. And I'm sorry, like that, I'm like, I'm not sorry, like this sounds terrible, but it'd be like, no, you're dumb, like, like, and you're unkind, and so forth. And realizing like that's not, if people aren't supposed to be in your life, they're not supposed to be in your life. But realizing that it's not a you problem. I think that's, to me, the biggest thing when I think about stuff is it is a me problem. If I have a problem with somebody, right? It is this where, not everybody can say, excuse me and I'm sorry. I'm definitely the more assessor. I've always been an assessor, but I'm really an assessor today in having the ability to be two steps back from everything, and I don't have to be in the control and have my, finger on the pulse, and because I know that there's the greatest and something greater that got it all taken care
Yes.
of. But what I realize is then, though, that if I do have a problem with something, someone, someplace, that's a Ryan problem, and that's something Ryan has to work on. It's one where we, and this is a me thing when I'm coaching others, and people are really struggling with certain situations. A lot of time, it's, pick one, right? Picking your area, right? Your physical, your mental, your spiritual. I guarantee we could go with personal, professional, whatever, and fill in the
Right.
blank, fill in the blank. And it's always because we want to be nice. It's kind of what it goes back to, right? Like the kind thing is to tell the person the truth in a way
Yes.
that, you don't mean to hurt them, but to understand that they're just not part of your priorities currently where you're at in your journey. If it's a healing journey, if it's a, whatever it may be, a spiritual journey. And I actually had that with a client yesterday. I was like, how do I respond to this person? I don't have time for them, And I was like, well, you have five priorities currently, which I believe still too many, kind of thing, because five's a lot. Like it really is. If every day you have five things you have to do, you have to do them. Like, when are you getting up in the morning, kind of thing, is what I
Right.
want to, because I'm the type of person, people all the time be like, well, why do you have to work out before, 9 a.m.? Because me, mentally, the way this thing works, I can stay in my gym clothes all day. It doesn't mean I'm going to the gym. And so in that, like, I did whatever I do between 5 and 9 locks in my 9 to 5. So it's just a non-negotiable. So that's why there's not five daily wins, there's three daily wins, kind of
Right.
thing. And they have to happen before 9 a.m. because if they don't, Coach Rice and I are talking now. Like in a half hour, I go to another call. Like
Right.
after that, like someone's coming to visit. After that, I got another call. And it's just, so when do you do it? You don't.
Right.
And then it's tomorrow. And then you're not being kind to yourself tomorrow because you skipped today and because you had too many priorities. I see it all the time with on Wednesday night, which I'm teaching junior high boys at church. And, every single one of them is like, I just want to have dinner with my family. And I'd never get to because I have hockey practice or I have baseball practice, or I have volleyball practice, and I'm like, looking at a 12-year-old little dude, and I'm thinking back to myself, when I was 12 and I started, like drinking, unfortunately. Um, and I'm like, golly, I just hope and pray that like what this loneliness that these guys are getting put into because we believe they're going to be the next Wayne Gretzky or, it's good for
The
them.
striving.
Right. Yes. And gosh, all they want is just to sit down around a dinner table with their family for an hour. I mean, it's just when you can hear that, it breaks your heart, right? And just
Yeah,
let the parents
especially.
know that it's like it's this simple. This is how simple it is, and it is that simple. That's what life's all
Mhm.
about. It's supposed to be about is the fellowship, and it's not this fellowship that you
Yes.
have at 65 when you're retired playing cards at the Legion or the VFW. No, it's an everyday thing with who's in your tribe, and
Yes.
yeah. So
And it's interesting how that breaks my heart to hear that too, because it's like we in a culture where we so disconnected now that but we crave connection because we created to be relational. You're an author, so tell us about the books you wrote.
yeah, the first one, I suppose a year ago now, is called God Only Knows When the Devil Comes for Your Second Chance at Life, and it is just that. It was my second chance. It talks about my recovery, the divorce, and yeah, what do you do when you know you have nothing left and you got to start completely over? And so it's kind of a how-to on what that looks like, and
Oh,
there's
nice.
ways of creating your vision board to establishing, yeah, what do you want your life to look like after, the aftermath? Like the life I believe was supposed to have is completely gone, all the way down to nothing, right? And it's a
Hmm.
blank canvas. Now, what do you want it to look like? And you got to completely learn how to do it. So that one uh, goes that route. The Icarus effect, the highs and lows of our emotions. We all have feelings. I think one day I might change it to men have feelings too, versus
Oh
we all
yeah,
have
that'd be
feelings.
nice.
Yeah, it's just because really, the more when I reflect on it, and the more work I do with men, is that we're just not good at sharing our feelings, right? And we're not willing to because it's not macho, it's not bravado. Certainly, I think of me come from the army as an airborne ranger. Like I'm like, the last thing I'm going to do is show my feelings to anybody.
Right.
And
That's not the place for that.
right, right. And now I do it all the time. I laugh. I was just on a call before this with four other men, and like we're all get tearing up talking about how do we, actually show our emotions and what does that look like in certain topics like, what do you get emotional over now? And I get emotional over all kinds of things because I realize that it's strength now to show that to the world because there's someone out there that literally is ready to harm themselves
Hmm.
over suppressing that. And, I was one of them before, that I did not want to be here anymore. And now I can see how people go their whole lives without saying something like that or thinking something like that
Yeah.
because there is a way to share all of that pain, all that suffering, and all that loneliness. And it's strength. It really is strength. To ask
Yes.
for help is so strong now. I realize
It
that, and
is.
yeah, I mean, like it is. You are
It lets
Hercules.
you it lets everybody know you human and people be like, I can relate. And
Yeah,
that initial like, I can relate is so powerful.
yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and then we kind of touched on it already. The last one that just came out in March this year, so 2026, so just probably a couple months back now. Really, Let's Get Spiritual, six-step method to transform your life is it's a 90-day prayer and meditation journal. So it
Nice.
has a layout of kind of from the first two books, like certain things that we walk you through, like in the first two books, but it's kind of summarized in such a way that the focus is to really get into just the daily practices. And, there's scripture and then like a quote that kind of pair together. And then you just start your day in the morning. I do it in the evening just because I feel if you go to bed on the right side of the bed, you're going to wake up on the right side of the bed. So then, therefore, you can actually get off on the right foot. But that's hard for some people, and I get it. I wrote it in such a way that it starts in the morning, but you can. I just work my way this way as opposed to working my way this way on it when
Right.
I use it, and it just takes you through your day. And like I said, really getting into gratitude. So there's, 10 things you're grateful for. You got to
Mm.
list the three people you do not adore and, pray for them. And it gets into the three daily wins and kind of bringing some of my military stuff with, it's called an after action review, AAR. And you just basically have your sustains, improves, and then actions you're going to take for those daily wins. So if you're really struggling in the mental department, like what are you going to do to change that? If it's the physical department, maybe you get yourself a personal trainer. If it's in the spiritual department, there's lots of different avenues to go in that as well. And then you finish the day the way you started in prayer and meditation, and yeah, in the morning it's like not this morning, Satan, and then or not tonight, when you're going to bed. It kind of takes you through all of that, and yeah. So after 90 days, what I found out is basically all three books are kind of just where I've gone over the last, 45 years before I sobered up, and then like the last 2+ years since I have sobered up, kind of take you through different how tos and what have allowed me to be. Significant, not successful today, but be
Right.
significant because I think of all the people that have helped me to get here. And then now, only through who's helped me get here am I able to help others like to get to significance. And
Paying
so,
it forward. That's what we do, right? We
absolutely.
pay it forward. If you can lead an audience with one powerful truth about transformation, something they can hold dear to their heart, what would it be?
I think it's always when I think of living one day at a time. If you're having a bad day today, don't worry because tomorrow will be that much better. It's one where we always get caught in our circumstances of yesterday was terrible, so today, will be, and it's never that. And so just I always look at it as 24 hours in a swath. And I think of that comes from my sobriety and my recovery journey of knowing when I think about how I woke up this morning, not so much how I woke up, where I was like this morning and where I am right now, towards later in the day after having three or four meaningful conversations, like I'm like, yeah, I'm untouchable now. And so that is just knowing that wherever you're currently at, it can't be that way forever because tomorrow's right around the corner.
I like that. I like it. It's biblical too, because it said, don't worry about tomorrow. You got enough to
Yeah.
worry about today.
Yeah, like it's the thing of it, right? Like it's tomorrow will take care of itself when it gets here. And it does, it truly
It
does. If you
does.
really reflect on that, I remember when my girls were in my life and I was just like, I was bad enough. I left them all the time in the military. And, now because of choices and mistakes and different things that, they're old enough. And I think of today, the relationship that we have, and people ask me that, would you change anything? I wouldn't change anything at all because like what I have today is so much more like in just the sense of you don't realize it because I didn't think you'd lose it all, right? Like you didn't think
Right.
ever that it'd all be gone. And I think for those out there that are in that season of loss, to really know that just work on yourself right now. Just focus on yourself. And I know it's hard. And then ask for help, because you got people
Yes.
around you that they don't know what you're going through unless you reach out and ask for help, and then they're going to be there to help you. So, yeah.
Wow, Ryan, you have been such a blessing. I do these podcasts and to serve others, and I'm so full of gratitude when I end the call, because I'm like, wow, that was powerful. I get a lot of information that's like so transformative, and I truly want to thank you for your message that you're giving and what you're doing in your life, and how you have learned to lean on the Lord, and through your sobriety, and now you taking that and you helping others. That is so important, because you have the ability to do it, because you walk through it. You walk through the healing process, and it's an ongoing healing process. But you also bring it. You want to help others along. That's amazing work. And so I will have your books, your links to your books, and how to reach you in the video as well as the comments. And so I just want to say to the audience, if you know someone who needs help in leadership, because he has that background, especially with the military, if they need help with sobriety, if they need help with anything, just please reach out to Ryan. He is a great resource to help out. And if you know someone else, please do share, comment on the video, and subscribe and subscribe on YouTube, follow on Spotify and Apple. I truly appreciate it, because guess what? I always have amazing guests, and I don't want you to miss out on the information that I get on a regular basis. So thank you so much, Ryan, for joining us today. And out to the audience and to everyone, have a fantastic Monday. It's your time to shine. Your journey to chart. Coach Rice wisdom will heal every heart. So join us now. Let's make life suffice. Welcome to Mondays with Coach Rice.